gentlemen. I'm Curtis Rauen, and welcome to Final Take. Joining me on the debate desk tonight is Adam Yirkovsky and Jostun Pomplun. Well, guys, it's Thanksgiving break coming up soon. Any big plans?
Well, what can be better than food and football for a weekend? Great thing, and then possibly going up to Minneapolis for the Vikings-Panthers game.
Yeah, and I don't know about you boys, but it's been a long semester, so I'm looking forward to a nice little break there with Thanksgiving with good friends and family and a lot of food.
You know, Jostun, I was really hoping to go to that Panthers game because I know the Panthers are going to win that one. It'd just be great for another victory, and I remember last year you were pretty down in the dumps after that one when we went. But for me, I'm going to be going to Iowa with my girlfriend's family, so I'm excited to get a rest for this break. I mean, it's been a long semester, like you said, and I mean, everyone here needs a break, especially after that weekend we just pulled off, Adam. Well, let's get to it right away. We'll go over some pointers updates. We'll talk about the college football weekend and later go around the NFL. Well, first, the UW Stevens Point football team hosted the UW Stout Blue Devils in their final game of the regular season. DeJuan Wright scored a touchdown with 53 seconds remaining to give the Pointers a 31-24 win. Wright finished the game with 112 rushing yards and 2 total touchdowns. Cody Nurnberg threw for 237 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Zach Velasky of the defense led with 12 tackles and 2 of the team's 5 interceptions. The Pointers finished the season with a 7-3 overall and 4-3 in the WEAC conference. What can we take away, Jostun, from this season, especially going 7-3 from last year when they went 5-5?
Well, it's definitely an improvement. I mean, my freshman year they were 2-8. Last year 5-5, 7-3. They're moving in the right direction. I mean, they had a lot of young players play this year, so they're going to have a lot of talent coming back. And what a way to send the seniors out with a win.
Yeah, and you look at Tom Junell, I mean, what a guy. I mean, he's turned this program around in the last 3 years, and it's been a phenomenal job by this coaching staff. But you look at the team, they're a young team. I don't know if anybody really expected them to compete and have a chance to make the playoffs, and they did that towards the end of the year. They stumbled against Oshkosh and Whitewater down the stretch, but I mean, Kyle Larson's injury kind of played into that. But they've got a very young team that they can build around for next year, and I think that's the high hopes for next season.
Yeah, and Jostun, you said this, I mean, they've been improving. It's shown every single year since you've been here. But you look at the Oshkosh, I mean, they went 7-3 last year, and they kind of fell off the wayside this year. Do you see that happening with this Pointers team or not?
I don't think so, and I don't think Oshkosh really fell off. I mean, they played 3 scholarship opponents. I mean, I don't think we would have beat them, and then they went 6-1 in the conference, so. And then us, we definitely improved this year. A lot of young talent. Those guys got a lot of playing good experience this year. They're going to come back another year older, a little bit better, stronger. So I think there's definitely ways for this team to improve next year.
Yeah, and we got to worry about, though, we talked about those veteran guys that they lost. They lost Seibel and guys like that, and that's a lot to take over, and the young guys coming in really need to take those key roles over for them.
Yeah, especially on defense, they lost a lot of key senior pieces, Zach Velasky, Bo Seibel, and you look at that, but I mean, they've got their tandem of cornerbacks back with Mike Longmire and Deion Jones, so that helps a lot, especially Deion Jones. He was the WEAC leader this year in interceptions, and I think that they had a phenomenal season on the outside there, but they're going to have to step up in the safety. I know we get Matt Gaffney back, and whoever steps in for Zach Velasky obviously won't be probably as good as Zach Velasky was, but defense is going to be key. They lost a lot of leadership on that side. But on the offensive side, they're pretty young in my opinion. I mean, they only lost a few guys on that side of the ball. So I think it's going to be a lot of things working in their favor next year when it comes down to it. But you've got to look at that O-line. I mean, they struggled all season long, and they struggled to get anything going. And so maybe shake things up. They had a young O-line, a lot of young guys, so maybe this was their season to really grow. And I mean, a 7-3 mark isn't bad to grow under, but they've definitely got to step it up next year. That's my main key with them.
Well, pretty much the entire O-line is coming back. I mean, they lost a center that started for most of the year in Brent Sisco, but other than that, almost the entire offensive line is coming back. So they got lots of talent there.
You know, for me, we talked about Zach Velasky leaving. I worry about that secondary, the safeties, not the corners, the safeties. Matt Gaffney, we watched him these past few games. He hasn't done a lot. He really hasn't missed tackles. Guys burning him deep. So, I mean, that's starting to worry me. I don't know about you guys. I mean, what do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I think definitely over the top they're going to need help. And maybe if they can push Matt Gaffney in the offseason here and maybe get some young talent under him to really push him and maybe start over him, maybe have a competition there. Because Matt Gaffney, I don't know, he wasn't the up safety. Zach Velasky was that guy who came in for run support for them. So Matt Gaffney was really that over-the-top safety, the free safety to really take care of things over the top. And they've got burned a lot down the stretch with deep pass plays. And so I don't know if that's just miscommunication on Matt Gaffney's part or just fundamentals. So if it's fundamentals, they can obviously coach him up a little bit and have him fix those errors. But if it's going to miscommunication, you've got to question his leadership there as a senior next year because he was a junior this year, and you've got to really wonder if he's your answer at the free safety position.
Now, I know it's a long ways away, but let's look to next season. What can we expect out of them, and do you have some little early predictions so far of maybe an outlook on their season next year?
I'm thinking they'll definitely have a shot to contend for the playoffs. I mean, they almost did that this year, and I mean, almost the whole team is coming back. Another year older, so they'll definitely have a shot to compete for the playoffs. They'll need to fill a few spots, safety, linebacker, and like that. But other than that, they should be pretty good to go.
One thing that will make or break this team next year is identity on offense. I think if Kyle Larson comes back healthy and he plays better than he did in the last few games that he started this last season, they've got to find their identity. And I think a balance of running game and passing game will be key for them moving forward. But like Jostun said, I think the sky's the limit. If they could do that this year with quite an inexperienced team, I think they can do it next year with the young kids growing up this year and coming back stronger than ever.
Speaking of offense, they'll have their quarterback back. They're like leading top 3 or 4 receivers, plus there's Rauen right back at running back. So they got the pieces to do it.
Pieces don't mean anything without identity, though. They definitely have to find a balance.
You know, and I think the ultimate thing is here, and you brought it up a little bit, is that offensive line. We're going to be dependent on how they play next season. The defense is going to be there without a doubt. That offensive line needs to protect Kyle Larson and those running backs, as they have some talent. Christian Almonte, we'll get to see him next year a lot too. Well, let's move on now to some volleyball news. The Pointers are the St. Paul Regional Champions once again. The 6th-ranked Pointers defended their regional title and punched their ticket to the NCAA quarterfinals in Newport News, Virginia, by defeating St. Benedict, Coe, and Cornell over the weekend in St. Paul. The Pointers swept both St. Benedict and Coe before defeating Cornell in 5 sets. The win marks the 20th in a row for the Pointers, and now they have reached the quarterfinals. How do you think, I mean, let's look at their chances. Do you think they can come out and be victorious in Virginia?
I think they definitely have a chance. I mean, it's quite an accomplishment just to make it back to the Elite Eight for the 2nd straight year. I mean, they've won 20 straight games. They're really starting to play well together. And the team, the Claremont Mud Scripts, I mean, they're kind of a little bit overachiever into this playoffs. They weren't expected to win. I don't think they were expected to win their regional. So I think we should be favored in the first game, and we'll see how we do from there.
You look at this volleyball team, and they're like a freight train coming down the tracks here. They can't be stopped right now. And I think this 20-game winning streak, a lot of people have stepped up for them. And you look at Alexis Hartman, one of their players, who won the MVP of the St. Paul tournament, regional tournament. I think they've got players like that all around. And I think there are a lot of players deserving of the MVP for the tournament award. And I think they can definitely win it, and I think they will win it.
You know, Adam, you say they can't be stopped, but they won in a close one versus, I believe, I can't think of it. Cornell, and it was a 5-game set.
They lost to Cornell earlier in the year, so they were able to figure out a way to beat them now. So.
Well, yeah, but with their unfamiliarity with these teams, they could run into some trouble here.
Yeah, but resiliency and momentum will carry them to the final, mark my words.
I hope it does, Adam. Well, the Pointers take on the Claremont Mud Scripts. I tell you guys, when I saw this in the script, I was laughing. I don't know how. Someone named this, and then the name of this city. Well, anyway, let's move on. They're going to be playing Claremont Mud Scripts at 11:30 a.m. Friday in Newport News, Virginia. Well, let's move on. Both the Pointers men's and women's hockey team were in action this past weekend. First, we'll start with the men. The Pointers took on St. Thomas Friday night and St. Mary's on Saturday. The Pointers were able to grind out a 3-1 win over St. Thomas, with Andrew Kolb scored the game-winning goal with under 5 minutes remaining in the 3rd period. On Saturday, Kyle Sharkey scored the game winner at 46 seconds into overtime, giving the Pointers a 3-2 win. We talked about the loss last week and them bouncing back this week, but these close wins, it just proves how good this team really is. Let's talk about that. What do you think of them so far?
Well, it's good that they get challenged early in the season. I mean, you don't want to play Finlandia and have to blow someone out every time. You want to have these tough games that'll really prep you for this season, and so you know what to expect in those situations. And then they were able to pull out the wins in those games. So they're a good, talented team, and they got a good season ahead of them.
Yeah, and they've got a lot of talent, like Jostun said. And I think one key for them that they did in these last 2 games is they had a lot of shots on net. And if they can keep doing that on offense, they can roll against any team. And I think that just the resiliency, I mean, they had that overtime win, and I think that they were able to really fight back from that. And, you know, they won it rather quickly in overtime, I think, 46 seconds or something like that. So that was pretty impressive by them.
Well, the Pointers improved to 4-1 on the year. and are now ranked 5th in the latest D3Hockey.com poll. The Pointers have a pair of games this weekend at home against Lake Forest and 4th-ranked Adrian. That's a big game, so make sure you either get over to Will-It-Be Stadium for that one, or the ice rink, I apologize, or watch it. I believe they might be streaming that one as well, so make sure you tune in for that. Well, in women's hockey, the Pointers split a pair of games with a conference foe UW River Falls. Ali Bingani gave the Pointers a 2-0 lead in the first game, but the Pointers were unable to hold on for the win, as the Falcons came back to win that one 3-2. In the second game, the Pointers again had a 2-0 lead as the Falcons came back to in the game, but Meredith Ingerberdsen scored with just 1:59 remaining to give the Pointers a 3-2 win. What do you think of this Pointers women's hockey team so far?
I mean, it's quite an accomplishment to go on the road at River Falls, who's ranked number 5 at the time. I mean, they should have won both games, but this team has shown a lot. They started out number 7. They're moving up. They're improving each week, and hopefully by the end of the year, they're playing their best hockey.
Yeah, and I think it's a long season up ahead of them, and I think to go on River Falls, I mean, I was at River Falls my freshman year, and I can know how crazy the fans can get there for both men's and women's hockey. They go nuts for their hockey over there. So a good way for them to go and at least get a win there in a pretty crazy environment.
Well, with the win, the Pointers improved to 5-1 on the year and climb up to the number 5 ranking. The Pointers travel to Superior this weekend for a pair of games with the Yellow Jackets. Well, now into basketball, the season is here, folks. The UWSP men's and women's basketball team each began their season this past weekend. You know what, guys, it's really been this past weekend was really busy all around for Pointers Athletics. I think we had about 6 home games going on.
We had football, both men's and women's basketball and hockey, plus swimming and volleyball was on the road, so a lot of things going on.
Well, speaking of that, the 7th-ranked men's basketball team took on St. John's Saturday night. After a slow start, where the Pointers trailed by as many as 8. They took over, though, in the second half to win 70-59. Alex Richards scored a career-high 22 points to lead the Pointers, while Austin Riff, Stephen Pelkoffer, and Jordan Luce were also in the double figures. What did we learn from the Pointers in their first game, Jostun?
Well, I think they need to go inside a lot because they didn't do that a ton in the first half. They struggled from the three-point line. And then in the second half, Pelkoffer and Richards started using the pick and roll, and Richard, I believe, was 7 of 7 in the second half. So getting the ball inside was definitely a key.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I mean, me and Curtis, we had the call for the game, and we were talking about how Alex Richard was trying to set up the pick and roll a lot in the first half, and they really weren't giving him looks down low like that. But, I mean, they're taking pretty bad shots from beyond the arc that first half, too. So they've got to play they've got to take a lot more selective shots, I think, if they're going to shoot from beyond the arc and just get back to their identity. But Alex Richard, what a game by him. 18 points in the second half. He really led the Pointers there, and they had some questions there for center coming into the year, so a good job by him to step up.
Yeah, Adam, I disagree with you a little bit. I think the shots they took were good shots. They just weren't falling for them. And that was my take, and I overheard Bob Sumley talking to the radio guys after, and he kind of said the same thing. They just weren't falling for them in the first half. And then, like you said, they went with the pick and roll, but I thought it was the back door. A back door was open all night in the second half for them, and that really opened up that three-pointer. The second half, they were almost, for a while there, going down the stretch, they were almost 100% shooting behind the arc, which was really good. But Alex Richard, the play by him, just dominating the floor in the paint, and that was really good to see.
You just got to keep shooting until they go in. They weren't going in the first half, and then once a couple went in the second half, everything started going their way.
Yep.
Well, all right. We're going to move on to the women's team. However, they did not get off to as good as a start as we thought they would, falling in their first game to Luther 61-56, before defeating Ripon the next day 68-42. The Pointers are looking to rebound after a disappointing year last year. How do you see their season turning out for this year, Jostun?
I think this season's going to be a little bit like last season. I mean, they lost a lot of their players from last year. They don't have a lot coming back. They're a really young team. It showed in the first game against Luther. I mean, Luther pressed, and they weren't able to handle that. They had 30 turnovers. A young team. There's going to be some growing pains this year, but I think they should be all right.
Yeah, and I think they'll step it up as they go along. I mean, they're going to have some growing pains early on this season with the young team they've got, but I think they'll have a better year as the season progresses.
All right, well, we'll take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we will talk Wisconsin Badgers football and some basketball. Stay tuned.
Serving a campus of 9,600 strong, we are the home of UWSP Television. We are SPTV. You can find us on Charter Channel 983, online, or on any of our social media sites.
Hey you! Are you creative? Do you like television? Would you like to make a show that appears on air? Then SPTV is the place for you. At SPTV, you can appear on air, learn how to shoot and edit video, write and produce your own show, and most importantly, gain skills and experiences that will last a lifetime. Want to join us at SPTV? Come check us out in the Communication Arts Center, rooms 121 and 130. We'd love to meet you. SPTV. Let's make media together.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Melvin Gordon had a record-setting day as he ran for an FBS record of 408 yards with 4 touchdowns as the Wisconsin Badgers crushed the Nebraska Cornhuskers 59-24, at one point scoring 56 straight points. As a team, the Badgers had 581 rushing yards, and the defense held strong again as the Huskers, they held the Huskers, to only 108 total yards. Did Melvin Gordon book his ticket to New York, Jostun?
Of course he did. He was in the top 5 before he was a finalist, but he just passed Dak Prescott this past weekend with that great performance against Nebraska, and right now it's between him and Marcus Mariota for whoever gets it. But it's going to be hard because a lot of the past couple years it's been more of a quarterback's award, and right now Oregon's ranked a little higher. But if Oregon has one slip-up, Melvin Gordon takes that spot.
Yeah, and I think I owe Melvin Gordon an apology here on the air.
Adam, I think you owe me an apology as well.
I think I do. I'm very sorry that I didn't see this coming. You know, I mean, I debated on the show last week that, you know, Melvin Gordon couldn't carry this Badgers team. He obviously showed this last weekend that he could, and so I owe him an apology. And I think you do give him the Heisman Trophy. I mean, without him, the Badgers are nothing this year. I mean, Corey Clement couldn't step into his role and do what he's doing. He's just an athletic freak right now. And if you put the game on Stavi's shoulders, you know, the Badgers wouldn't be winning many games, I don't think. So, I mean, you look at Melvin Gordon and what he's done, and I can only be humble and say, I'm sorry, Melvin, good job.
You know, and it's funny because Marty would love to be on this show tonight to slam us both for that victory. But I get to slam Marty because I'm on the show, and you both were doubting Melvin Gordon for the Heisman, and I was the only one that said he had a legitimate shot. He might win this one, and don't count him out. I think on the record I said don't count him out. So you know what? I like to just toot my own horn there for that one. Well, the Badgers travel to Iowa this weekend with a kickoff schedule for 2:30. The Wisconsin Badgers men's basketball team also began their season this past weekend with 2 easy wins over Northern Kentucky and Chattanooga. What are the expectations, Jostun, for this year? We talked about it before the show. You're very high on them for this year.
Of course. I mean, they made the Final Four last year, which I did not expect them to do at the beginning of the season. All along, I thought they had a bunch of talent coming back, that this was going to be the year. I didn't know they'd be this good. I mean, Frank Kaminsky, Sam Decker, they got a bunch of talent up front. They're going to be tough to beat. I think they got a good chance to go back to the Final Four, and they have a chance at winning it all.
Yeah, like you said, I think they overachieved last year in a lot of people's eyes. But, I mean, if they're this good, I mean, maybe not. And I think that Frank Kaminsky comes back as arguably the best player in the NCAA right now. And I think, you know, the Badgers have the pieces in place to do a lot of great things. But be careful. They have a tough conference. The Big Ten always plays tough with them. You know, it's more of a defensive basketball conference. And I think they've got some tough games down the road. So don't get too high on them. But, I mean, you can expect some good things from them.
And you know, Adam, you thought you'd slip away. We don't have it in the script, but we're going to bring it up anyways. Notre Dame, what a disappointment this past weekend, losing to Northwestern. I don't really think you can talk right now. I'm going to let Jostun, hold on, I'm going to let Jostun attack you a little bit, and you guys can go back and forth for a little while.
I can't believe you had them in the playoffs before. Their schedule is weak.
No way.
Yes, their schedule is weak. They haven't played that many teams up until Arizona State, Florida State, but what they do, they lost. And then they home against Northwestern, where Northwestern beat them in '95. Is that true too?
It is true.
Wow, Northwestern's got their number.
Now listen here, okay? I mean, the fact that they lost at home in the Brian Kelly era to Northwestern is beyond me. I think I liked watching them.
You know, Adam, we need to get you a sign with the biggest loser medal around for you.
How am I supposed to discount Notre Dame a few weeks ago when they're 5-0? How am I supposed to discount Notre Dame when they're 5-0, sitting there pretty? Everett Golson, even though he's turning the ball over, is leading them.
The ball
now
over.
Listen here. I think
there.
Everett Golson has a shot to rebound for this team the rest of the way.
And he's still high on them.
I think they'll finish the season and
you think
win
they have
out.
a chance at the the playoffs still?
No, that's out of the question now. But the fact is, how was I not supposed to have
Too
Notre
many
Dame's
turnovers.
back?
You knew it was going to catch up with them eventually.
And I agree. And I think maybe, in the middle of the year, especially after that loss to, Florida State and Arizona State, I think you've got to maybe make a quarterback switch because he was turning the ball over a lot, and he had more turnovers at one point than touchdowns. So I think, even though he's a dynamic guy, I think you've got to look at the coaching staff, and you've got to question Brian Kelly's decision-making because they had a quarterback battle coming in this year, and I think they could have started Malik Zaire down the stretch here, and maybe they
All right, you've had the floor too much. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to let him. And Notre Dame, they're done.
Well, Adam, I thought I'd bring that up for you because I knew you wanted to relive that moment.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we return, we'll go around the NFL. Stay tuned.
Don't let the snow and cold get you down this winter. The frozen tundra outside may keep you indoors, but here at SPTV, we'll still be getting you the best news, sports coverage, and entertainment that you need. Don't freeze your fingers and toes off to find out what's happening around campus. Stay warm, everyone.
SPTV is your home for everything Pointers, only on Charter Channel 983.
Now on to the NFL, where we go around each week to every past game, and we do a little description of what we thought of the games. The Green Bay Packers scored over 50 points in back-to-back games as they defeated the Philadelphia Eagles 53-20.
Well, the offense is on a roll, but another thing helping them is that they're at home. So we'll see how they do when they go on the road.
It's a good thing they got that bad man, Aaron Rodgers. That's all I got to say.
And Adam had to steal my thunder, but Aaron Rodgers is a bad, bad man. All right, the Dolphins over the Bills 22-9.
Dolphins D's been pretty good lately, and Ryan Tannehill's actually turned his season around after almost being benched.
Yeah, I mean, they did versus the Buffalo Bills, though, who have a lot of questions right now, so I'm not going to really read into the Dolphins.
And for Adam's sake, look out, Denver. All righty. Bears over the Vikings 21-13, and you're wearing purple
The
today.
Vikings did not play well, but can we please get a working clock?
Jay Cutler, man, vote of confidence moving forward.
He still threw 2 interceptions.
3 touchdowns.
For me, Adams now jumped on the Bears bandwagon again.
Not true.
Texans defeat the Browns 23-7.
Ryan Mallett won his first career start. He threw his first touchdown to, of all people, J.J. Watt.
Yeah, and I was just going to mention that. Good for Ryan Mallett coming into that game. Good for the Texans moving forward.
A little shout out to Ryan Braun, one of our technical guys here. Browns, I'm going to call you out, Ryan. Where are they at this week? Well, the Chiefs beat the Seahawks 24-20.
The Chiefs have still not allowed a rushing touchdown, or have they thrown a touchdown pass to a wide receiver, yet they find ways to win.
If there's one team the Broncos in the AFC West need to be scared of, it's the Kansas City Chiefs.
You know, I honestly didn't even know this until I just read it on the screen. I'm blindsided by this win. I seriously didn't know the Seahawks lost. Well, let's move on. The Falcons over the Panthers 19-17, and they move into first place in the NFC South.
Yeah, the NFC
with
South.
a 4-6
The
record.
NFC South is just a disaster this year.
Ouch, Curtis. Ouch. I'm going to call you out.
I'll say it. Come on, Panthers. Wake up here. All right, the Saints lose consecutive home games as they fall the Bengals 27-10.
Who knows which Bengals team we're going to get from week to week, and it just shows how the NFL changes all the time.
Embarrassing for the Saints. You know, I call them out as the winners of the South this year. How embarrassing to lose back-to-back weeks at home.
You know, Adam, I usually have a pretty good memory, but I forgot about that. Now I'm going to crush you because the Saints, they're just slowly helping this Falcons and Panthers team
It's nuts.
try to get back into
It's
that first
absolutely
place
nuts.
spot.
How can they do that at home? It's nuts.
Saints aren't very good. You need to wake up to that, Adam. Well, the Buccaneers win over the Redskins 27-7.
Mike Evans is starting to turn into an absolute stud. And hey, Buccaneers are still alive at 2-8 for the NFC South.
Good for Lovie Smith. You know, I really am a big fan of Lovie, and I hope he keeps his job next year.
No one cares about this game. And here we go. The Rams upset the Broncos 22-7. And let me make a quick note. Me and Joss were talking about this. This is Jostun words. This ain't mine. Jostun said that the Vikings beat the Rams So by default, the Vikings would be better than the Broncos right now.
I think that's ludicrous. I mean, the fact that you would ever say that. Let's pit Peyton Manning versus Teddy Bridgewater and see who wins that game. Let's put that defense against the Vikings' measly running game that the Bears just shut down.
Can the Vikings
and then let's see
Peterson?
that wins that game.
Can
I
the
think the
Vikings get
Broncos
Peterson?
would destroy the Vikings. No, they don't get Peterson. He's suspended.
Well, come on.
Oh, my gosh.
Emmanuel Sanders apparently
All
he's
I got to
dead.
say,
So.
yeah, well, I mean, he was hit pretty hard, wasn't he?
Wow, alrighty. The 49ers defeat the Giants 16-10.
That was a sloppy game.
Eli being Eli. Nice 5-interception game. Good job.
No one cares. The Raiders lose to the Chargers 13-6 and remain winless.
Hey, I had that Chargers D for my fantasy.
Good for you, man. I think that whole coaching staff and GM Reggie McKenzie are out the door next year, and maybe John Gruden comes back and leads the franchise to some more wins.
Yeah, you know, I called in a bold prediction the Raiders winning this one. They're just not panning out for me. Well, the Cardinals' best record in the NFL after beating the Lions 14-6.
Yeah, Lions struggled even with Calvin Johnson, but it just shows you how the Cardinals just keep finding ways to win.
I don't want to say I told you guys so, but I told you so. The Cardinals are one of the best teams in the NFL right now. I think their record is a little untelling until they face, a few more teams down the stretch here with Drew Stanton at the helm. But good for them. I think they're really shining right now.
Let's move on. The Patriots remain hot, beating the Colts 42-20.
Yeah, where'd Jonas Gray come out of? And then Brady and Gronkowski. It's going to be great when they play the Packers.
I'll tell you where Jonas Gray came out of, Jostun. Notre Dame. Golden Domer succeeding at the NFL. Gotta love it.
You know, Jonas Gray, he had one good week, and he's going to fall off the map after. You need to settle
we'll
down
see.
over
we will
here.
see, my friend.
And then the Steelers on Monday night beat the Titans 27-24.
Yeah, it was a burger bowl. Roethlisberger and Mettenberger, and Antonio Brown had another nice game.
LeGarrette Blount, no, that guy is a head case. He walked off the field because he wasn't getting enough carries, but, I mean, good for the Steelers to get the win.
Yeah, and speaking of that, he's gone off the Steelers, so you don't have to worry about that. And Mettenberger showed some flashes there, just couldn't pull it out in the end. Well, this weekend, the Packers travel to Minnesota to take on the Vikings for a noon kickoff. Jostun, what do you got for that game?
Well, I'd like the Vikings to win. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater hopefully has a bounce-back game.
He needs a perfect game for a victory in Green Bay.
Realistically, I think Green Bay wins.
You better hope that Aaron Rodgers is off, which is not going to happen. But I think the Vikings, they've got a lot of problems right now on their offensive side of the ball with Teddy at the helm. So we'll see what they can do.
And today, Jostun, let's go into a little bit. Ben Tate signed to the Vikings. What do you think of that?
I think it's more of a fill-in thing. Just see how he does the rest of the season. And then maybe, I don't know if he's guaranteed for next year or not, but just try him out. I mean, you got nothing to lose right now.
Yeah, I mean, if Adrian Peterson leaves the Vikings after this year, I think they've definitely got to have some options at running back. I mean, Jerick McKinnon has shined at times for the Vikings. So, I mean, to bring in a leader like Ben Tate and that young rushing attack will help them grow too.
And in Twitter news, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Cam Newton's Twitter account got hacked yesterday. And the guy that hacked it was saying he called out Richard Sherman, saying he was overrated. He said that he wants to get released from the Panthers. He likes to lose. I mean, what do you guys think of? What do you think of this the Twitter overall, and what do you think of that?
I'm not that big of a fan of Twitter. I really don't even know how to use it yet.
Jostun, you need to get with the times.
No.
Anyway.
All I gotta say is it's pretty sad if Panther fans' biggest news is Cam Newton's Twitter being hacked.
It's pretty sad when the Broncos lose the Rams. Let's not even get in there.
So, anyone want to earn $10 an hour and free tickets to the game? Go shovel snow in Buffalo?
Heck
Yeah, I did see that today. That was good. I'm glad you brought that up. I saw that. I was alarmed. I know the Packers have done the $10 for shoveling, but never free tickets. I think you'd have a line out in Appleton if that happened in Green Bay.
First they got to get there, though, through 6 feet of snow.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have time for today. We thank everyone for tuning in with us. I'd like to thank Jostun and Pomplun and Adam Yirkovsky for joining me on the debate desk with their insightful opinions. And a big thanks to our technical staff and all their hard work to make this possible. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at SPTV UWSP Television or follow us on Twitter at SPTV_UWSP. Also visit the UWSP homepage to locate all your Pointer Athletics information. And just remember Stevens Point, here at Final Take, anything Pointers, anything sports.